Who's your commander?
Good luck.
Equip.
Move to combat. Resolves.
Right.
Now, before you attack
Does
me,
anyone have an answer?
well played.
Good game.
Hello everyone, my name is DJ. You are watching the Jumbo Commander YouTube channel, and today I want to talk to you about the top 10 bulk mythics. That's right, these are mythics that you can buy for under $1. We're going to take a look at them and find out what makes them powerful, why they're so cheap, and what decks they can slot into. Let's go ahead and get started with the top 10, but before we do, I have two honorable mentions. These are honorable mentions not because of their power level, they're amazingly powerful cards, but because they're 3 colors. That just means that they slot into fewer decks. And so let's take a look at the first one, and that's Cyrus the Writhing Storm. Cyrus the Writhing Storm is a favorite of mine. It's a Jumbo Commander preview card. Cyrus the Writhing Storm is 5 CMC, it's a 3/5 flying snake leviathan, and it punishes your opponents for drawing extra cards. You make little snakes when they do. There's so much card drawn commander, punishing your opponents for drawing is very, very good. And also, you can force your opponent to draw cards, you'll draw cards too, with this snake too. It is political, it's fun, it makes a bunch of little snakes, it's a great card to play. But of course, being 3 colors, it's hard to fit in a lot of different decks. Next, we have Brutal Horde Chief. 3 and a black for a 3/3 Orc Warrior. Whenever a creature you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. It also has a crazy activated ability. 3 Boros. Creatures your opponents control block this turn if able, and you choose how those creatures block. This activated ability is why this is a 3-color card, because of those Boros red and white pips in there, which means it's hard to fit Brutal Horde Chief into a lot of different decks. But the decks that can play it, this card is amazing. Both of these abilities are particularly good. If we take a look at something like Calculating Lich, a 6 mana 5/5 menacing zombie wizard that has the same ability when creatures attack, your opponent loses 1 life. This card, granted being out of a weird supplemental product called Game Night 2019, is still $3.50. So we can see how this effect is powerful and desirable in other cards. We also can see that activated ability is incredibly powerful. Master Warcraft is a one-off instant that lets you choose how blocks are lined up. It's only 19 cents, but just being worth a card means that this Brutal Horde Chief's activated ability is crazy. I mean, I love how you can activate it and stack up all your opponent's creatures on one irrelevant creature, basically making your whole team unblockable. But the secret mode, the best mode of Brutal Horde Chief, is activating it when your opponents are attacking each other, because then you can line up the best blocks for you and the worst blocks for each other. This just makes combat crazy in a game of Commander, and you should be playing this card if you can. It's 3 colors. Ugh, Brutal Horde Chief. All right, into the top 10. Let's take a look at number 10. We have a staple in white, Sun Titan. Sun Titan is 6 mana for a 6/6 giant, and it's one of the famous Titans. Sun Titan is full of value because it can bring back a permanent with mana value 3 or less. That means it can bring back lands. So if you happen to have fetch lands in your white deck, you can bring those back onto the battlefield. Or artifacts or little creatures. Honestly, it comes with a ton of value. And of course, if we compare it to the other Titans, Sun Titan is cheap because it's been reprinted so often, a bajillion different times. I'm looking at you, Grave Titan. Honestly, I'm glad it's been reprinted because the price of Sun Titan could be huge because white decks rely on this effect to bring back permanents that are small. In fact, Savine's Reclamation, a sorcery that can do this effect, has only been printed once in Commander 2019, and it's about $5 for this one-off effect, and Sun Titan can do it over and over again with every attack, with every single turn. Sun Titan is also a combo piece. You can combine it with cards like Fiend Hunter and a sacrifice outlet to be able to exile it, bring it back, bring the Fiend Hunter back, exile it again, and sacrifice over and over and over again. Sun Titan does a lot for white decks and is a powerful card that's very inexpensive. Next, we have Chandra Flamecaller. You know, usually Planeswalkers used to command a higher price tag, but recently some of these Planeswalkers you can pick up for very, very cheap, and Chandra is one of them, coming in at just over 80 cents. This is an expensive Planeswalker, 6 mana, but it has a big effect. +1 to create some 3/1s. You can attack with them, that's fine. I like skull clamping them or sacrificing them for value. You can also minus Chandra to take out a relevant creature, but the best ability is the 0, allowing you to pitch your hand and draw a whole new grip +1. You know, this wheel effect is very valuable in red because Wheel of Fortune is so expensive. We can't afford to play with it anymore. And so we keep trying to find other things that can wheel us. They've been doing a great job. Wheel of Misfortune or Korvath's Fury. And so Chandra Flamecaller might have a limited time where we can slot it in decks. But even a card like Korvath's Fury is $250. That's 3 times as much money for this effect. Now I know what you're saying. Wheel effects are the best when they're the cheapest because they can refill your hand and then you can immediately redeploy. If you have to cast Chandra for 6 and immediately activate to sort of wheel your hand and draw your cards again, well, there's very little mana left over to be able to redeploy or use those cards. And so Chandra is definitely not as good as some of these other wheel effects, but if you're in line for a budget way to draw cards in red, you could do worse than Chandra. Next up, we have another Planeswalker, Garrick Primal Hunter, coming in at 75 cents, and Garrick does it all. It ticks up to make beasts. You know, some of the most powerful Planeswalkers ever made tick up to protect themselves, and so this Garrick could definitely do a lot. But do you know what? It's that -3 ability that's particularly good. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Sometimes you're playing this for 5 and then just immediately sacrificing it to draw a ton of cards. In fact, let's compare this to a card like Rishkar's Expertise. 6 mana to draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Yes, you can play another card with it, but Rishkar's Expertise is a $7 card. And really, the power of Rishkar's Expertise is in that card draw. So compare that to Garrick at 5 mana, 1 mana cheaper, and 75 cents. Like 10 times cheaper in price. So I'm a big fan of Garrick because it does that big card draw effect I'm looking for. The reason why Garrick is so cheap is that it's seen 2 Commander reprintings, including one just now in Commander 2021. Next up, we have Metallurgic Summonings. This used to be a $3 to $4 card, and then with the reprinting in Commander 2021, the price plummeted to just below $1, and it is worth it to pick up this card because it is powerful. 5 mana for an enchantment, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you get to make a dude. A dude that's power and toughness is equal to that spell's converted mana cost. And then that would be enough. Like, that would be a really fine card. Just keep getting value off of all the instants and sorceries you cast. But it even gets better because the activated ability of 3 blue. If you got enough artifacts, you can activate this, and you just get all of the instants and sorceries from your graveyard back to your hand. You just get to rebuy all of them. It's just this huge over-the-top effect. I mean, 5 mana is a lot, but 5 mana draw 3, 5 mana draw 4, 5 mana draw all the relevant cards in your graveyard? Yes. Next, we have Geth, Lord of the Vault, and I think people are sleeping on this card. It's sneaky good. 4 black for a 5/5 intimidating legendary zombie. And you can pay X and a black, and then you can choose an artifact or a creature in an opponent's graveyard, and you get that on your side of the battlefield. And then your opponent mills X, you know. So the thing that I like about Geth is that you can target those really relevant small things like a soul ring. 1 and a black, reanimate your opponent's soul ring, they mill a little bit. That is something I love. Of course, you need ways to facilitate it, or you need to kill those creatures or kill those soul rings, but just snagging a few key creatures or artifacts from here or there makes Geth totally worth it. It's a great reanimation effect. And I think the reason why people are sleeping on Geth is that for a long time, Geth was very expensive. It saw one printing and the card was $10, $12 for years and years and years. And that was too much for this card, you know, just get a Grave Titan and do more for 6 mana. But then Geth got immediate back-to-back reprintings, Commander 2019 and Double Masters, and that just destroyed the price. It's now down to 75 cents, and I think it's undervalued. So pick up Geth, play with it, attack with it. It is a great card. Next, Archon of Coronation. 6 mana for a 5/5 flyer, but you become the Monarch. That is amazing text. I love being the Monarch and introducing the Monarch to the game. It's so exciting. And when you have a flyer, you oftentimes have the ability to get the Monarch back. Of course, Archon of Coronation has one more line of text. As long as you're the Monarch, damage doesn't cause you to lose life. So the idea that you're passing around the Monarch is fine because when people attack you to get it, you don't lose any life, but you have a big flyer to get the Monarch back from other people. On its baseline though, 6 mana, 5/5, draw a card, and introduce a cool mechanic, and gain a little bit of life. Thumbs up for Archon of Coronation. This had just one printing in Commander Legends, but Commander Legends had so many relevant cards in it that this card ended up being pretty budget. Next, we have a card with a powerful effect, and I'm surprised that it's under $1. It's Green Warden of Murasa. Green Warden of Murasa is 4 green for a 5/4 elemental, and when it enters the battlefield, you can return a card from your graveyard to your hand. And when it dies, you can exile Green Warden of Murasa and do the same thing again. So we can compare this to Eternal Witness, and Eternal Witness has had a bajillion reprintings and is still about $4. Green Warden of Murasa has had one printing and it's under $1. Just a really powerful effect. Now, it's not as powerful as Eternal Witness, even though you get 2 cards back over its lifespan. And the reason why is whenever you're tutoring a card or getting a card back or drawing extra cards, it's really important that that effect costs as little mana as possible. Because what you want to do is get the card you need and immediately use it. Green Warden Murasa, it's hard to do that because 6 mana is a lot. So rarely can you get the card back from your graveyard and immediately use that kill spell or use that draw spell or deploy that extra creature. Hopefully the 2-for-1 built into this elemental will make it worth it. And when you're talking about something so cheap, under $1, Green Warden Murasa is gonna be a great mythic for your commander decks. Next up, Harmonious Archon, another 6-drop, 4 white for a 5/4 flyer, and you get 2 1/1 white humans, just little white humans, but it has some amazing text. It turns all other non-Archon creatures into base power 3/3s. So it comes kinda with 2 3/3s. It also starts nerfing all of your opponent's creatures. So if they just have big, dumb creatures, guess what? They're 3/3s now. If they have 0/1 Saprolings, they are also 3/3s now. Of course, that's how you break the synergy. You can have a bunch of little creatures and they go bloop, 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 and they become bigger 3/3s. Or you start having Archons that suddenly start trading and dominating the board because they're bigger. There are a bunch of really cool Archons out there. There's some bad ones too, but I really think that this is a cool effect, especially when you know you're impacting the board in this way so that you can break the synergy, have more little dinky creatures, and impact your opponent's boards in a big way. Harmonious Archon is a 65-cent mythic, and why is it so cheap? It's only been printed once, but it was in Throne of Eldraine, a set filled with power and relevant cards. And so when the set is dominated by all these other high-priced cards, a mythic can slip by at only 65 cents. Next, we have a very cool double-face card. It's Alrund, God of Cosmos. And on the other side, it's Haka, Whispering Raven. So I think that people don't think that this is as powerful for Commander because Haka Whispering Raven is not really a relevant creature. It's 2 mana, 2/3 flyer that bounces back to your hand and lets you scry a little bit. So not something that we're super excited about, but I am excited about getting value at all points in the curve in my commander deck. So if I had nothing to do on 2, I am playing this Raven and getting some scry in and a little bit of chip damage. But really, I think we're playing this for the front side of Alrund. because Alrund can draw you a ton of cards. At the beginning of your end step, you choose a card type. You know, if I just want raw cards, I'm going to choose land, and then you look at the top 2, and if there are any lands in there, boom, they're immediately in your hand. I mean, this is a big beater that could draw you a card every single turn, and sometimes 2. I mean, you know your deck. You know what you need. And so sometimes just saying, oh my gosh, I need a board wipe, sorcery. It's important to know what card types are in your deck, but honestly, Alrund is really good. Alrund was only printed once in Kaldheim, and honestly, it got a really cool sort of Norse border, and that's under $2. So I think I'd pick up that version personally. And the #1 bulk mythic that I have to share with you today is Axis of Mortality. This is a 6 mana do nothing enchantment at Mythic, and it is majestic. It is so commander. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may have 2 target players exchange life totals. Oh, the chaos. Oh, the politics. You can start changing your life total with someone that has a higher life total than you. You can switch 2 opponents and flip them around. You can play table politics, and you can combo with this. Because when you switch life totals, someone's gaining life and someone's losing life. So you can have crazy effects like Tainted Remedy on the battlefield, or messing with life gain or life loss. There is so many cool things that you can do with this. But honestly, it's just the politics. It's just the table talk. It's just being able to have so much power over the board and over your opponent's life total. It is incredibly fun. Of course, it might incentivize them to kill you rather than just attack you with a few creatures. They're like, wait a second, if I attack you and don't kill you, you're just going to change life totals? I better be sure to kill you. But honestly, this is what Commander is all about, and I love Axis of Mortality. Also printed once in Ixalan. Not a super powerful set, and still 75 cents. I'm going to go buy myself some copies of Axis of Mortality right now. And do you know where I'm going to do that? I'm going to do that at Cool Stuff Inc. because they are so cool. And if you use the coupon code JUMBO5, you'll save 5% off your order. I also want to thank my patrons. They are amazing. Thank you, patrons. And thank you for watching this video. If you like it, let me know down below by hitting like buttons, subscribing, things like that. And if you want to see more budget videos, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy these top 10 bulk mythics. Bye-bye, everyone.